Okay, good afternoon. The rhetoric and the promises of the incoming administration are a threat to Seattle's economy and to Seattle's workers. On Thanksgiving Day, I signed a proclamation that ensured that Seattle families and Seattle workers would be protected. Today, along with Councilmember Gonzalez and Tony Maestas from the Seattle Foundation, we will be announcing funding and programming to make sure that our values are absolutely ensured in this city. And so today I'm excited to announce at first a plan for money that will make a new partnership as we address the issue of new Americans in this city. The plan includes the following parts: the Family Unity Project, a series of community education forums for families be conducted in Seattle Public Schools and other venues where community partners with legal expertise and experience will work with immigrant students and will offer information on the importance of power of attorney and other resources for those who are in danger of detention. As part of this program, training and technical assistance will be provided to Seattle Public School teachers and counselors and administrators and attorneys from the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project. They will respond to calls from the students and parents who are in danger of being detained. In addition, the program will include counseling and support for students, particularly those who are in the deferred action for childhood arrival, as well as Muslim students. Not everyone is willing to call the police to report a biased speech or hate crime. So we are going to create, through the Office of Civil Rights, a hotline and other means for immigrants and other individuals who are victims of bias crimes or hate crimes to contact the city and seek assistance. And finally, on Inauguration Day, we will hold an event for Seattle families called Seattle United for Immigrant, Refugees, and Families, where we will offer an array of support services and free information and community education to support our immigrant families. These include citizenship application, know your right presentations, consultation with immigrant attorneys, and information from city, county, and school services, as well as more. I want to first thank the school district for once again being our partner to making sure that the children I have met in our school system who are scared do not have to be scared as long as they are in our city. I want to thank Councilmember Gonzalez for her work on this, not just in her time on council and not just with this funding package, but her work throughout her career. I want to thank Tony Maestas for his work as president and CEO of the Seattle Foundation and for the work that he has done as our partner in this program. Let me add just a couple of items here. We're going to have a rather robust Inauguration Day, and I have an appeal to every civic organization, neighborhood group, religious organization, anybody who's active in civic life, to think about an activity that you can do that day, an activity your organization can do that day, an activity your religious group can do that day, your school can do on Inauguration Day, that indicates that we can make civic life for this city better by doing something to improve the life of this city. So I would encourage everyone to find, while Monday on Martin Luther King Day will be a day of service, I would say Friday should also be a day of service to show what kind of city that we are. Finally, when my grandparents came to this country in the 20th century, they met signs that said, "No Irish need apply." Today we are creating that same sort of thing, particularly for people of color. When my husband's grandparents came here, they met severe discrimination as well based on race. We can't go there again. We were there when my grandparents came here based on religion. We were there when my husband's grandparents came here based on race. We know what damage it does to our community. We know what damage it does to our nation. We can't go there. And this is our attempt on Inauguration Day and going forward to focus particularly on the students who live in this city. And with that, we will hear from Councilmember Gonzalez and then Tony. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As someone who grew up in an immigrant community to Mexican immigrant parents, I remain proud to stand here and reiterate that Seattle is and always will be a welcoming city to our immigrant and refugee neighbors. The investment that is announced today is just one step that the city of Seattle is embarking upon to help our neighbors facing documentation challenges and uncertainty in this time of transition. Undocumented youth are some of our most vulnerable neighbors and friends. That's why I am incredibly grateful to the mayor and members of the Inclusive and Equitable City Cabinet for highlighting the needs of this particular community, our youth, our dreamers, those kids who were brought here when they were young, seeking opportunity, the same opportunity that my parents sought for their yet unborn children, including myself. And I want to make sure that folks understand that this is a first step. It will not be the last step in the city's efforts to ensure the safety and security of our immigrant and refugee neighbors. And as you heard Mayor Murray say, on January 20th here in Seattle, while in the other Washington, our 45th president will be inaugurated, a president who has made his anti-immigrant sentiments well known, here in Seattle, we will be at our United for Immigrants and Refugee Families workshop at McCall Hall. This coming together of hundreds of volunteers and immigrant and refugee families will be a striking symbol of unity, and I am extremely proud of our city for stepping up to help our neighbors, to be willing to accept all of those who live here in our wonderful city. I encourage anyone who is living in fear because of their immigration status to attend and prepare for what could come in a Trump administration. The city stands at the ready to help you apply for citizenship, to help you understand what your rights are, and to help you develop safety plans for you and your family so that if for some reason you are separated from your family by immigration enforcement, your children will be taken care of. Immigrants and refugees are not a small segment in our population in this city. There are an estimated 70,000 legal permanent residents in Seattle, King County, and those are just the legal permanent residents that we know about. That does not include those who might be living and working in Seattle, King County, who might not have documents. And though we may use the words immigrant and refugee communities to distinguish their unique needs and contributions to our community, these folks are our neighbors, families, friends, brothers, sisters, cousins, and loved ones. They are Seattle. They represent us, and we represent them. As I mentioned, our efforts will not end here. Our Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs is going to continue to hold workshops and legal clinics. We, through the last budget cycle, provided an additional $300,000 for legal clinics and workshops to continue to occur throughout this year. And our efforts as a city to defend immigrant and refugee communities will continue to be strong and sustained. Again, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the mayor and to all of the volunteers who I know are already signed up for the January 20th event. There's a lot of work left to be done, and I'm proud to stand here today. And I will reiterate, as the mayor has already done, that this city is one that has been built on inclusivity, and we will continue to build on that inclusivity. My parents, when they arrived in this country in Eastern Washington, arrived to signs telling them that Mexicans could not be served in this business. That is not the America that we are. That is not the promise of America that we have made. And I think Seattle is and will always be better than that. And we will stand not just for our own city, but for our region and for our country, because that's what we do as Americans, and those are our values. And I'm excited about the work that lays ahead of us. It's going to be challenging work, but we will stand together to make sure that we stand for love and not for hate.
Thank you, Mary Murray. Councilmember Gonzalez. I'm honored to be standing here with the mayor and the council member in making a real sustainable commitment to such an important group of residents in our community, immigrant and refugee children and their families. As the mayor affirmed in his executive order last November, Seattle has been and will remain a welcoming city for all. It's part of our social fabric and our history, and we must continue to fight to protect it. Seattle Foundation stands with the city in saying no student, child, or young person in our community should live in fear because of their family's race, religion, or immigration status. The mayor just outlined critical services provided for these kids and their families through this effort announced today. Counseling services for students and their families, legal support for those at risk of being detained, and clear mechanisms to report acts of violence, hate speech, and bias. These services are vital to protecting that principle of being a welcoming city for all our students, regardless of their immigration status. We all saw the political divisiveness and polarization reach new heights during last year's election season. The resulting anxiety and fear that many immigrants and refugees are experiencing, coupled with the inexcusable violence we've seen across the nation, has caused great division, both nationally and here at home in Seattle. In my role at Seattle Foundation, I'm fortunate enough to be able to directly address this divide every day through our mission to make Greater Seattle a stronger, more vibrant community for all. For Seattle Foundation, this is a moment of truth and reaffirms the values and strategies Seattle Foundation is committed to as a civic leader. Now's our time, more than ever, to take a stand. As the region's community foundation strategic advisor to more than 1,000 local philanthropists and partners, we're committing to the following during these uncertain times. First, we're committed to standing with our partners in the community. We embrace the incredible diversity of Seattle and are proud to stand up for the rights of immigrants and refugees, as well as the LGBTQ community, women and girls, people of color, and others excluded from equal opportunity. Second, we commit to using our voice in support of those who are most marginalized. Now is the time to share our passion for equity and opportunity, and we must refuse to be silent when it comes to issues of inequality, racism, Islamophobia, misogyny, homophobia, and other forms of discriminatory violence and hate. And last, we commit to invest significant resources to address the fundamental causes of inequity in our community. Through efforts like the one announced today, Seattle Foundation is investing alongside our philanthropists in both the immediate need to protect some of our most vulnerable residents, as well as more upstream approaches to addressing inequities, especially racial inequities. But we cannot do this alone, and neither can the city. I commend the mayor and his team for committing $250,000 to this important effort, but we know more resources are required to reach all students and families who need these critical services today. With the incredible assets, talent, and innovation we have at our disposal here in Seattle, I'm confident we can reach our collective goal of nearly $500,000, and Seattle Foundation will be investing our own funds in this effort, and we'll be inviting our incredible philanthropists, corporate partners, and residents across Seattle to join us. Many Americans are wondering how they're going to find a path forward in this time of unrest and change, but we know we can, and it is our collective responsibility to ensure that there is a place for everyone on that path, and that we do not leave anyone behind, especially our kids. So I look forward to working with the mayor, Councilmember Gonzalez, and others at the city committed to this effort, ensuring it is a success and we are able to reach the young people in our community that deserve this support. Thank you.
Thank you both. Questions?
Yes.
Could you provide a little more detail about how the money will be distributed across schools?
Sure. There'll be resources. The training will be done for teachers and counselors through the Northwest Rights Immigrant Project. The day itself at McCaw Hall will have a whole load of attorneys and other people who can give advice available right there. So we'll continue to work with the funds will go through those programs.
To specific schools, or is that still to be
As needed. I mean, to some extent, it's how the school district identifies where the requests come in. So, okay. You guys are easy today.
It's Friday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Pronounce your name.
Happens all the time.